Hey, good evening, everybody. It
What's happening?
it is warm in East Tennessee tonight, and we just wanted to drop in for a few minutes and just get really raw, just to share a little bit of our story. Because don't you think it? I mean, it is encouraging to people sometimes in a strange way to hear how bad things got for somebody else.
Well, yeah, I mean, the best movies are never about like just victory after victory without a struggle and a challenge, right?
Right, right. That's true.
So the best stories are always ones where somebody's overcoming something. So yeah, if you're out there and you're struggling, and you guys maybe have been in some pits or some bad ruts,
Yeah.
or just feeling like you're just it's getting worse and not better, we just want to offer some hope to you guys.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to tune in.
I mean, Rachel, one of the questions we get a lot is there hope for us? Is there hope for in our situation? And obviously there's so many different variables to even answer that is very difficult. But we're here to say that, it got pretty bad for us where we got in a really vicious cycle where it seemed like we couldn't get out of it. Like it wasn't just like a week that we got there. It didn't happen overnight.
No.
It happened over time, and we found, we've been married almost 25 years
Yeah.
now, and but we fell in love, and like, how did we get messed up? Like, how did we lose ourselves?
Yeah, everybody's journey is different and
Right.
everybody's story is different. But for us, I think when some really hard stuff started happening to us, and uh, you can even hear my language, stuff happened to us. So it was my belief that things were happening to us,
Right.
and that these things were out of our control, and that now all of a sudden, what are we going to do, and why me? And if you're feeling that way, that why me, telling you we've got some hope for you, because
Hmm.
that's a terrible question to ask, first of all. There's never a good answer when you ask
Right.
that question. And so, yeah, you started really struggling with just a lot of closed doors. And
Right.
then that led to a lot of depression and then anxiety. And then it's like when someone acts like they're anxious and depressed, you guys, it's hard to like, it's hard to, it's hard to have anything good going on here.
Yeah, it was like all these things happen personally, but also to us. And again, we caution people when they use language like that
Mm-hmm.
because those are not the reasons that you got stuck. Boy, those insects suddenly got loud. But
Mm-hmm.
but in looking back, I mean, wasn't it true for us that we differences in parenting, differences in how to handle situations, differences in how to deal with losses, even we instead of giving different deference to one another and grace to one another, we really got to the place where it was like, well, she just doesn't understand. Like it didn't happen overnight that way, but we got really to the place where I felt like you were didn't have any respect at all left for me, and that didn't make the best version of me show up either.
Right. Yeah.
you know
And when the scripture teaches about husbands, love your wives, and wives, honor your husbands, it doesn't say when your wife is lovable and when your husband is honorable.
right,
It's
right.
just it's a command. And we got out of that thing, when you were just depressed, and I was like, oh, why are you, I didn't understand your illness. I didn't understand why you felt the way you did. And so it made me treat you with disdain, and then I just had contempt.
Right.
It started with just disappointment, and then disdain, and then contempt, and then it was like the way I spoke to you, the way I talked to you. And then
Mm.
do you think I was getting the love that I needed? Do you
No.
think I was getting like the care and the concern and the affection that I
Right.
needed, the attention, the fact that you were trying to understand me? No, I wasn't getting any of that. And so then it just got worse. It's like, and for us, we've really seen this with a lot of couples that we've helped and the ones we've worked with in the past, and
Right.
especially with ourselves. It really comes down to, who do you say that you are, and what are you telling
Yeah,
yourself?
your identity is absolutely huge. But not only that though, Rich. Just in looking back, I was not giving to you what you needed,
Right,
and you were not giving me what I needed,
right.
and that is not what God designed marriage to be.
No.
Now we were good on the commitment part, like we were going to be miserable even if we stayed. We weren't getting divorced,
Yeah.
but we're going to be miserable.
I was committed to
Yeah,
misery for life with you.
yeah, yes, you were, and
And
that's
I
what.
thank God that's not what He resigned us
No, I
to.
know that's where we're headed though.
Yeah, and
So,
that doesn't honor God either.
no,
Two people putting up with each other
no,
until death do us part. So,
no.
guys, if you're stuck there, like, we want to let you know, you can get out of it. And I'm telling you, it only takes one person willing to make a change in themselves, willing to make a change in how they respond
Yes.
to completely change the entire dynamic of the marriage. It's a complete lie that says, well, it takes two. It doesn't actually take two.
It takes one to break the cycle, really. And then
Yes.
when one does, then it can really impact the other.
Yeah, and
You know.
we're not saying you can guarantee an outcome, but
No.
I mean, because when you have two people committed and saying, "Let's figure this out. We want to do this," there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that can stop you. But with one person saying, "I'm committed to changing me. I'm committed to changing to owning myself,"
Right.
then it's like the whole thing can change. It really, really can. We've seen that happen.
But if we were to go back, because I think it's important for folks to hear, when we go back to some of those darkest moments, I mean, I really got to the place where I didn't think there was much hope. Like, I wasn't going to get divorced. I didn't see that as an option. But it was like, well, what options do I have?
Right.
And it got really dark. I mean, I'll share privately with people about that later, but it, I didn't think you were going to come around, and I didn't think I was worthy of you anymore. I mean, I really was in a pit. That's exactly where I was. I felt like I was in a pit.
Yeah.
And we have all the neighborhood kids that are now here.
Just ignore them.
We wouldn't have these neighborhood kids if we had not stuck it out, and if we did not follow the Lord, and if we had not gotten this growth in our marriage,
Yeah.
and gotten back on the right path.
That's right. That's right. So some of the things we tried in the past, we tried counseling. We had good counselors. We had terrible counselors. There's a lot of the people who come to us have had a terrible experience with counseling, and that's why they're coming to us. If counseling helped them, they probably wouldn't be seeking something else. So we understand there's really good apples and there's really bad apples out there, so you got to do your research.
Right.
But honestly, counseling can just take so long, and we wanted to sort of expedite this and get this speeded up, and we had to figure out, how do you get leverage on yourself to change? How can you change now? And so that's a whole other subject. But what we're here to say is, you can get a quick turnaround. Like, it doesn't have to take years and forever.
Right.
And there is hope and help available if you
Yeah.
get the right help. And we're here to tell you that it can work. It really can.
Yeah. And when it didn't seem like there was hope, that's a dark place. But what's amazing is you shine a little bit of light, and everything can change.
Oh yeah.
Everything can change really, really quickly. And that's the misnomer, the misunderstanding that's out there is it's going to take 20 years of counseling to get us back. And we see time and time again that is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, with our clients, we get those turnarounds quickly, and we got that turnaround quickly too. And
it's totally possible.
It's totally possible. And to think about where we were versus where we are now, boy, that's our passion. That's what we're about, guys, is giving that to others. And so we just, first of all, I want to share with you that yes, there is hope, even if it feels like it's so dark. There is hope. We're living proof, and there are many others that are living proof as well. And if you're finding like, boy, we're really just stuck in these ruts, that's when you need someone on the outside to come in and say, this is where you're getting stuck. This is where you're getting stuck, and help to pull you out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's not going to be on her side or his side. Someone's going to be on the team Laurie's side, to really get that turnaround. And that's what we're all about. And when you begin to understand what you felt about yourself isn't what's true, what the circumstances you've been dealing with, life happening, whatever it would be, that may feel like that is so real. That is so like your identity, like it's become who you are. But that's not what God says of you.
Right.
Not at all.
That's one of the big things that we really work with our clients on, is helping them to really dive deep into the stories they've been telling themselves about marriage, about themselves, about their spouse, about God, and really diving deep into what's blocking them from having this amazing marriage, what's blocking them from stepping into their truest, best identity, because there's things that are holding us back that we don't even know. These stories that we've told ourselves so long and so hard, that we just think that it's gospel truth, and it's not. And so really stepping into who God has called you and created you to be, when you're showing up as that person in a marriage, and that's really one of the things we really help our clients do. Right. When you're showing up as that person in the marriage, there is no stopping you. And because you can get out of, a conflict quickly. You can, there's no limit to what is possible.
And could I mean, I didn't say this ahead of time. You know, I feel led to say, you know, it really was you, Rachel, that understood this first. Like you were the one that really started to grow in your identity, and I feel like you're the one that pulled us out of the ruts more than even me. I mean, it was helpful that both of us were, but you led the way in that. You led the way in with grace more than I did, you know, and but that just attests to what you said before. It really takes one, and everything can change.
That's sweet of you to say. And I was thinking a minute ago, hun, that when we were at the darkest, and I thought, who am I married to? What has this man become? He's like, he doesn't care about me. He's totally focused on himself. He's in such a pit. He's so negative. And then it's like I began to remember, like, that is not who I married. That is
Right.
not the man I fell in love with. Where is he? He's somewhere in there. He's somewhere in there. And so I
Hiding,
had to figure out a way to pull him out.
hiding
Find
for a while.
Yes, hiding in your turtle shell. And so guys, remembering why you got married and who was that person that you walked down the aisle to.
Absolutely.
it,
Yep.
it can be a huge game changer. So we are here for you, and we're here to offer the hope of the gospel that God can change and work in any situation. Your marriage may or may not be savable. I don't know, but it's worth the effort. It's worth the risk. It's worth trying and giving it everything you got. It's so God honoring to do it. And if you found yourself divorced or whatever, just know there's grace for you. There's grace and hope for you too. And our heart is just to see marriages restored, to see them come back to life.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
because that's literally what God is in the business of doing.
Yes.
Is bringing dead things back to life, making all things new.
He's in the business of new chapters too, you know,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't be doing today what we did. You know, we wouldn't be doing what we do today if it had not been for those struggles.
Right.
You know, it's an amazing story. God is a redemptive God. God is weaving this story. And we want others to have that same turnaround, because imagine what happens if you, who you feel like, boy, seems so dark. Imagine if God gives you a turnaround. What impact you're going to have on your kids and your grandkids for generations to come, that example. What about the ministry God's going to give you in your own context, in your own church, in your own neighborhood, among your family and friends? That's exactly what he's done in us and is doing through us now. And that's how God works. And that's exactly what he could be doing with you. And so if you feel like, boy, we're stuck in that place, you know, we're here for you guys. And I want to share with you in just a moment how we can do that.
Yeah, one last thing I just want to add. I feel led with this on my heart. When Scott was pastoring for so many years and teaching classes on Christian marriage and biblical, families and all that kind of thing, like, we knew a lot of the answers, and yet underneath behind the closed doors, our marriage was secretly falling apart. And there was such shame and guilt there because of being in the ministry. And so we just want to really especially say that those of you who are lay leaders in your church, those of you who are in the ministry, those of you who are pastors or missionaries, or there might be incredible guilt and shame that your marriage is struggling, and just know there's no judgment, and we understand that. And, like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out and say, we're not doing well. And so our heart is for you as well, because there can be just all this guilt and shame underneath, and Satan will love to just use that against you to just pretend. And pretending doesn't help anyone. It just doesn't.
Absolutely. And that's when motorcycles show up too. We don't have motorcycles until we get on alive. But you're right, you're exactly right. And the evil one would want you to think there's not hope, that things can't turn around. And we see that every day. And we get the privilege of walking with couples who, in some cases, were on the verge of divorce. And now they're back reconnected with their best friends, back reconnected with the love of their life, hopeful about the future, dreaming about the future again, knowing that instead of living a lie in front of their kids, that they're living out what marriage should be with an example to them. Instead of giving up, they're showing up big, not perfect, guys, by any stretch, but enjoying life together, enjoying their marriage again. And what an amazing gift when God can give that to you. And here comes the motorcycle again.
No problem.
Great timing. Sorry about that. Anyways,
That's
guys.
what we get for being outside.
Yeah, that's what we get. That's what we get. But guys, what I want to say is, if you're feeling like, boy, this is us, this is our story, or if in any way it's similar, and you're realizing that you're stuck, I want to encourage you to reach out and book a free call. And Michael, thank you so much. We're glad we made it too, and it's a testimony to not only God's grace but God's provision in bringing along the right help at the right time, and that I believe wholeheartedly that could be us for some of you out there tonight. So I want to encourage you to book a free call. What we do on that call is dig to the bottom of what's not been working. And 99% out of 100 times, couples will say things like we've said, like, "Oh, all these things happen to us. That's what's wrong in our marriage." But those aren't the actual problems. Those are the symptoms of the problems, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So get on the call, diagnose what's not working in your marriage right now, and then talk about where you hope it can be. And guys, if I can help you to get from there, from where you're at to where that is, I'm absolutely going to make that clear. And if there's something better out there, I'm going to point you in that direction. But either way, you're going to get clarity. You're going to get the truth of what's been going on. And I think most times people get divorced, they really don't even understand why they got divorced. They know that they were fighting, maybe, and then maybe they blame the other person, but they don't have clarity about what went wrong.
Or maybe they say, "Oh, it was infidelity," but
How did they get there?
exactly, that
Yes.
doesn't happen overnight,
It
right?
doesn't.
So
No.
yeah, book the free call. My husband is so patient, so loving, so non-judgmental. He is going to spend as much time as it takes with you on the
Right.
phone to give you that clarity and serve you and love you. And so know that our hearts are for you, and we encourage you to book that call.
Yes, it's at turnaroundmarriage.com/call. And we'll post the link afterwards as well, but turnaroundmarriage.com/call. And Michael, you're right. People do quit too fast. And we're so glad we made it. And we've made it by God's grace so that we can help others make it too. And if that's you, please reach out. Don't hesitate, and look forward to talking to you real soon.
Yes.
Hope you guys have a great night. God bless you. And we'll talk soon.
Good night, guys.
Well, we're going to try to stop soon.
How do we? Oh, there.